What's up, chat? I've basically been just working on my commission. Well, I haven't actually, but I didn't work on anything yesterday. I went to get my asshole fucked by the handy dandy hemorrhoid doctor. And that removed all motivation from my body. Interesting how having someone jam their finger up your asshole somehow like makes you way less motivated to do anything. So after I went to the hemorrhoid doctor, on the way home I bought like a shit ton of bread and ate about 1,500 calories worth of Japanese baked goods. And then I went home, masturbated twice, not necessarily in a row, but I generally only masturbate once per day right now. And then I played video games for the first time in like 2 weeks for about 4 or 5 hours. Six minutes in, already gay sex mentioned. Unfortunately, hemorrhoids are not gay sex, as much as we'd like to believe. I would consider hemorrhoids to be something besides having gay sex. I would consider them to be, anal invasion of the medical community. Hope you enjoyed the bread. 2 of the pieces of bread, I bought 5 pieces of bread, and I was like, I will eat some of these tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, so I will not be carb loading myself. That did not, of course, happen. Anything that gets bought in Japan gets eaten immediately, of course. So I probably ate like 1,500 calories in the course of like 30 minutes or so. But two of them were just like straight up, just like only salt and butter flavored, and those were tasty as well. One was a melonpan, one was a kind of like Danish croissant crust with like chocolate cream inside, and a third one was like some kind of potato slash chestnut based stuff. Yeah, shiopan. I ate like three of them, actually four of them on the way home. And I was like, okay, I've already eaten like 1,200 calories probably. I definitely am not going to eat this last one. And I was able to resist eating it until like 5 hours later. So yeah, the trick to not eating an insane amount of calories in Japan is to just not go to the bakery in the first place. You don't want to be putting yourself in that position because your willpower is not, it's not a winnable fight. There's more bakeries in Japan, or at least my area, than there are like basically anything else. Especially if you combine that, if you combine the number of bakeries with the number that are just supposed to be like cake stores. Sometimes the bakeries sell cake as well, but there's also cake stores that are just there for cake. But besides yesterday, I've been living a very low calorie. I want to see if I can get properly defined abs if I just don't eat enough. If you go, you're going to end up eating a lot of kashipan that day. I mean, even if I go to the grocery store, there's kashipan everywhere, so you just have to be like, it's not going in my cart, period. We're just not going to let that happen. But anyways, yesterday was sort of my, I'm going to just let go and do all the things I had been stopping myself from doing, including eating a shit ton of calories and playing video games and not staring at porn. I mean, I'm not trying to go zero gooning, but I usually don't jack off twice in one day, so... My dick usually can't even take jacking off in twice in one day, so I don't know when my dick is like, just like feeling like it needs to, it has that extra coming inside it. I got back from the store stocking up on salad and chicken. One thing I recently learned from YouTube is that you can lower your blood sugar just by drinking water before you eat. And I was like, damn, this sounds like a stupid life hack, but it actually works. It's like true poverty core, though. You're basically just convincing your stomach that you're full by drinking like a cup of water before you start eating. Like there was like an entire study done that showed that people who drank a cup of water like 30 minutes before they started eating lost like an extra 4 kilos dieting than people who didn't over the course of like 3 months. And I was like, oh my god, we're just convincing ourselves that we're full by weighing our stomach down with water now, but it actually does work. It's pretty funny. It really shows that you can't use your stomach capacity as a good judge for the amount of calories your body needs, and you just really have to just be like calculating this shit if you want to lose weight or just not eat. We all need off days. I think what happened wasn't actually the hemorrhoid doctor sticking his finger up my ass, which he did do, but they keep on giving me appointments in the morning for some reason. I guess the reason is because nobody else wants to go in the morning, so I keep on getting these like 9 a.m. appointments, which means that I have to get on the train with the rest of the people who are going to work, which means that I get to enjoy the salaryman rush experience. It's not like in Tokyo, it's not like a real crowded train, but yesterday I had a particularly bad, like the Asperger's is kicking in sensation, in which like I'm just like every single other human being on this train is a fight or flight risk for me. I need to murder everybody in the train to feel secure. That kind of feeling. So by the time I get home, I'm just like, fuck this. My body is just like, it can't handle it. You should replace a meal with protein fiber shake powder. Why? Why eat protein fiber shake powder when I could eat actual fiber and actual protein? There's all these studies coming out nowadays that show that basically whenever we try and like use our handy dandy modern sociologically derived scientific method for losing weight or gaining muscle or whatever, it's always inferior to just like eating the real food. We just need to come to terms with that. The salarymen smell like beer and cigarettes. Honestly, it wasn't even like that crowded at all. If like a true Tokyo salaryman learned I was bitching because there were 20 people in a train car and I didn't even have, fat ass salaryman rubbing into me at all, they would be like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? By Japanese standards, it was essentially like completely empty. But people have different degrees at which what they consider to be their personal space. And if I'm walking in the middle of the desert and I can see all the way to the horizon, and then some asshole, I can see the lone figure of a single human being walking toward me from 100 miles away, I'm like, that motherfucker is invading my space. I'm gonna have to kill him. That's my general feeling. So even like extremely empty train cars for me is it's too much already. That powder shit is weird. That stuff is for bodybuilders and shit that truly can't be bothered to eat protein 10 times a day and they just want to have something easy. But if you can just eat chicken breast, you should just eat chicken breast. Jay Cutler says all he does is eat chicken breast and broccoli, so... Like, we've gone through that pattern many times already in Western society where we're like, no, we can figure out how to get thin. Here's your Slim Quick. What was it called? Slim Quick or something? It's just like a liquid sugar drink or whatever. Is it Slim Fast? Yeah, basically any time in which we try and replace eat-in calories or eat-in nutrients and stuff with like something that we can just chug, it's probably like fucking with the way our relationship with food, so we shouldn't do that. Slim Fast, yes. In fact, I remember many years ago I saw a Japanese TV show on these people that were like essentially quadriplegics and stuff. Like huge amounts of their body didn't work for various reasons from sickness. And then there was a doctor that was convinced that the way into which these people better, this doctor was like super convinced that the first thing that they had to fix in these people was their jaw so they could chew. And he would like give them surgery and stuff so they could get their jaw working again, that they could increase the strength of their jaw and they could start eating solid food. And then once these people started eating solid food and chewing and doing the chewing part on their own instead of being like on a feeder tube, like all the other parts of their body would start to improve after that as well. And it showed like that there was like this really direct correlation between the act of like actually chewing and eating stuff and like whatever it is that is important to our human existence and survival. Like, we can't just have food in a fucking tube, I think was the there was strong evidence to show that. So I think we all should stop being like, I'll just drink this 10,000 calories. Just make amphetamine steroids easier to get. They already are pretty fucking easy to get. I don't know if it's even possible to make steroids easier to get, considering like you can just go to a doctor any day and get testosterone replacement is what we call it nowadays. You just have to go to any doctor and be like, I'm a man over 30, or even not over 30, and just be like, I feel like my body isn't as sharp as it used to be. And then the doctor will be like, of course, that's a serious medical condition. Here's a prescription to, 5,000 grams of Trenbolone. You need to become a healthy man again. And you're like, oh, thank you, sir. My testosterone levels were dangerously depleted now that I'm 30. Thanks, doc. Like, this is an actual shit that's happening, so... When I had to take my blood sugar last year, I saw a difference when I drank protein shakes compared to solid food. I assumed that your blood sugar was higher when you were drinking protein shakes over solid food. The same YouTube video that was talking about the study of how you could reduce your weight also strongly advised to not drink water while you were eating. And there's a different study that showed that people that drank like a glass of water while they ate had like 30% or 60% elevated blood sugar than the people who did it. And I'm someone who loves drinking water while they eat. And the person in this YouTube video, they didn't give like any definitive reason, but they were like, it's probably just because it allows you to eat faster. Like, if you watch the Nathan's hot dog eating contest, like, every single person who's eating these 50 hot dogs is dipping the hot dogs in water and, like, chugging water. So you're trying to get the food down quicker, and the water helps with that. So basically, a lot of the blood sugar numbers is reliant on how quickly it's going through your body. And, like, fiber and protein is another reason why that shit slows down. And of course, the fastest way to get calories into your body is just drinking them, just liquefying that shit. So, if we're going like maximum high efficiency, or not high efficiency, low efficiency, maximum low blood sugar, healthy eating, you're supposed to go 1 drink cup of water, probably warm, so that you don't, you get your stomach bacteria warmed up for the process, and this will make you full 30 minutes before. 2, eat large veggies. This will make you full. While cooking other shit. And at this point, you're already kind of full. And you have like a huge buffer zone in which the food can't go through your stomach because it's just full of like fucking water and vegetables. And then you eat your low-fat protein. And this like entire process is like 40 minutes. Because like you're drinking water, then you're eating your vegetables, and then you're eating your protein. And now you get a very small amount of carbs. Whether it's your sugary dessert, because like nobody can stop being addicted to sugar, or just, you know, some bread. Preferably whole grain. Just the difference, just changing, if you're eating rice, if just changing white rice to brown rice makes a huge difference. This is the ideal version. Oh, and then this. Exercise. This is the combination of all the, like, insulin reduction activities. If you do this, you'll feel no insulin spike at all. However, if we're not gonna be a stupid pussy bitch and eat like a true American, we're gonna start our food off with, let's say, what's the true American diet? let's start by a Frappuccino, 1,000 calories. We're gonna need some 2 Big Macs. Well, let's say this is breakfast. The most important meal of the day when we have the maximum insulin sensitivity. So let's start off with some Starbucks with pumpkin spice and extra cream. I'm gonna need some, we'll have like 2 donuts with that. As you go through the Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru. Drive home after you've gone through the drive-thru while you eat your donuts and drink your sugary drink. Make sure you don't walk. Walking would prevent your insulin from spiking. Now, when we get home, now it's time to eat some healthy protein. Let's cook some bacon and sausage and hash browns in butter. It's important to get butter. I would add eggs, but most people agree that eggs are relatively healthy, so and then after we eat all of this, let's finish it off with some delicious whole-fat dairy plus what's the highest sugar content? Well, let's do the Frosted Flakes Breakfast of Champions to get your essential nutrients and another extra 50 grams of sugar. Now, who's actually going to win a war? These skinny-ass bitches who can't even handle a little bit of insulin release, or a true American who eats 2,500 calories within 30 minutes? How the fuck do people eat all that in the morning? If we're being realistic, even Americans probably only eating the top 2, because a lot of it is just from convenience. They're going to work and they're stopping in their fucking Starbucks drive-thru on the way, and they get a nice, delicious pastry with their sugary drink, and then they go to the office and sit in the office without moving their fat ass. Diabetes maxing. This diabetes isn't going to happen by itself. Americans understand that you need to do the hard work to achieve diabetes at 35. Usually a combo of 1 and 2 or 1 and 3. And if you're a kid, you give them 4. That's the thing. We make sure kids get into the habit of eating sugar in the morning, just like automatically. I just eat some yogurt, maybe some cookies and a fruit. Yogurt. I didn't like Greek yogurt, but I was like, now that I'm like 30, they want me to eat a shit ton of protein, and Greek yogurt has way more protein than normal yogurt. And Greek yogurt definitely does not spike any insulin because it's just like extremely thick ass protein, just like a big chunk of a protein, so I'm not a fan of it, but I'm eating it. I eat it with my, like, when I don't feel like cooking shit, I eat Greek yogurt. If your parents gave you Lunchables as a kid, they did not give a fuck about you. Why would I have to cook when the American corporation establishment has provided me with this perfectly good alternative? A box full of ham and crackers they set you up if you were eating Lunchables from elementary, middle school. The thing is, if you're going to an American elementary school, even if you're not getting the Lunchable experience, if you're just like eating cafeteria food, you're still getting like, in many cases, just like chicken nuggies and shit like that, or shitty pizza, and then they give it to you with like a can of Coke. So I was gonna draw Blossom without a bra, but I decided it was sexier if she actually had a bra on and you could see the bra. But I don't know. I feel like maybe that's not going with the 2000s theme. Was there a lot of bra showing in the 2000s? I feel like it wasn't that common. Because you had like the tank tops that were combined with the bra. There was? Okay. So many girls were just wearing tank tops that like had an internal bra structure that they didn't even need to show. I still have a lot of problems trying to figure out what's the right amount of details when representing lace to make it look properly lacy. Here we think we are fat fucks and we eat like half what you eat. Gotta grow up to become big and strong, son. I mean, what happens if I Google image search traditional American breakfast? I like, these are the first 6 photos that you get in American. I like this one because it's supposed to be like a recipe for 5 people, but this is actually like one guy's plate. Just kidding. But yeah, this is what you get, son. You always get, besides the toast, you also have to have bacon and then fucking pancakes. Pancakes are a must. Bacon, bacon, bacon. Also add hash browns to that. What's the Denny's Grand Slam? Nothing more American than fucking Denny's, motherfucker. Let's go! Original Grand Slam for $6, son! Hash brown, sausage, bacon, eggs, pancakes with cream, butter. Let's fucking go! God, I can just feel the patriotism overwhelming my body. Just through my veins, I can feel my love of my country and president. It's just pumping through my body. That might be my blood sugar, actually, but similar thing. Newspaper, black coffee, and then beating your wife and son included. Now look what happens when we go to Japan and go, Denny's. Shohoshoku. Uh-oh. What is this fucking heresy? Oh god. The Japanese 600 yen Denny's breakfast? Oh fuck. They have a lean piece of fish, a fucking salad, pukes. The fish even has, I think this is daikon radish next to it. Fucking fermented soybean broth with seaweed in it. A giant piece of, all these pieces of nori. That's another thing, except the rice part. Japan has a huge white rice problem. Well, it's not that huge, but this is like the biggest carb loading part of their breakfast. But when you combine that with nori, you get like an extra level of vegetables to prevent the insulin spike. Because you're basically like wrapping your rice in your vegetable fiber. Nori is just like straight up veggie fiber. You cannot digest that shit at all. This fucking disgusting piece of shit is 434 calories. Oh my god. How am I supposed to survive when I'm eating less than 1,000 calories in my morning meal? Is that actually filling? The American one is so stacked. Eating a bunch of fiber and protein feels filling, but you don't get the calories, so you can't grow up and become a strong American man. Also, Denny's is still like super cheap in Japan. In Japan, you can still regularly eat out for less than 1,000 yen, which is like $7. In America, it depends on the state, I assume, but it's very difficult to eat anything, even if it's shit like McDonald's, for less than, like, I don't know, $12 at this point, I would say. And that's not even counting, like, the server tip if you're eating at a place with waiting, which is, like, probably the most expensive part of the meal, to be honest. If you're in California and you want to eat breakfast out, you're probably paying like $30 if you're in LA or something, right? Everything has like a 30% upcharge in America if you're eating out because you have to fucking tip, right? There's no tipping in Japan. That makes such a big difference. The cheapest I can eat out here is like $17. If you go to McDonald's, you can still probably eat for like $6 if you use their rewards. How do you feel about how much sugar they put in drinks compared to other countries? I mean, it depends which country you're talking about. Japan still has a shit ton of sugary drinks, even compared to, like, America. It's on equal with America. It has its own sugary drink economy, but Japan has tea as an option. So even when there's like 10,000 vending machines, there's always like 1 or 2 non-sugar options, or more like 4 or 5. Because there's always like the tea option. In America, it's almost hard to find something that doesn't have sugar at any point. The US, everything is sugary drinks. People don't even think about it. An American told me that trying soda from anywhere else feels flat. Japan has some great sodas, I would say. And it has the American sodas that the American fat asses like as well. In fact, I would say that Japan has a better soda environment if you're into soda than America does, because it has all the large American soda companies, but then it also has a shit ton of other products by like local Japanese companies and stuff like that. That's the thing. American capitalism is kind of a failed version of capitalism. Americans will never understand this until they go to Japan, but because it's entirely built around just monopolies and having the massive corporations, the same Unilever, whatever corporations running everything, there's actually very little product variety. So you're actually not getting a good experience, even if you're just like a fat ass that wants to get diabetes. There are better ways to get diabetes in Japan. I love Pocari Sweat. Pocari Sweat was actually being recommended, or not recommended, but in my YouTube healthy video content, there were a few doctors who were like, okay, I hope you don't drink Pocari Sweat, but if you absolutely have to drink one of these sports drinks, please drink Pocari Sweat, because all the other sport drinks we have in Japan are full of artificial sweeteners that don't actually raise your blood sugar because they're fake, but they fuck up your stomach. The doctors were basically just like, we'd prefer you just get diabetes just drinking your sugary drink than getting diabetes by drinking the non-sugar sweeteners, because at least then you know that your body knows that it's like getting a bunch of sugar. Whereas the artificial sweeteners, it's kind of like you're sort of tricking your body out. Like you expect to get the insulin spike, but it doesn't happen, and then you still get the insulin spike. US capitalism is a bastardization of capitalism. Well, capitalism, when left to its own devices, just progresses more and more toward monopolies. So you need to constantly put guardrails on it so you don't just get one corporation that owns everything and then can like charge people whatever it wants. Because like that's the most efficient end state version of capitalism, right? Is if you have Omnicorp just ruling everything without any competition, and then it can just charge it whatever it wants. And corporate overlords are constantly trying to work to that. Why would they have to lower prices when they could instead just become one company and charge everything? So it's up to us to, veto that shit. But as we've learned from Microsoft being allowed to exist for the last, 60 years or whatever in its current state, that sure as fuck ain't happening in America. So like everything, regular regulations are supposed to circumvent that. Yes, next Hystrixia is going to say some un-American bullshit like perhaps the SEC should prevent the same companies from passing $10 billion back and forth between each other, funding each other's AI programs, and then writing down the money as like growth into GDP or something. But that's communist bullshit. Americans understand that when NVIDIA buys $10 trillion worth of, Anthropic buys $10 trillion worth of chips from NVIDIA, and then NVIDIA invests in Anthropic or whatever, and they're just passing the money back and forth between each other. That's a perfectly healthy economic relationship, and it's no way going to lead to some horrible economic disaster down the line. It just won't happen. Government should be a force in opposition to capital, but it's so bought and sold. Corruption is as bad as treason. Corruption is literally legal in America because corporations are people, and Why shouldn't people be allowed to lobby the government? You don't need to receive cash back in a paper bag at the train station when you can just legally receive money from lobbyists. And then once you're done with your job as a congressman, you get a cushy consulting job where you don't have to do anything and you get a six-figure salary for the rest of your life, so... Why tax the rich more? Just tax the middle to lower class to the point there's no difference between the two. To be fair, that is the way that it generally has been in history for most of the time. The people in power that have the violence to support their social position are of course going to try and take your money as well. It's only until recent in which we were like, oh, we should have a progressive tax rate, guys. The rich people don't need that much money. It's like, eh. It's easy to hate the rich. It takes strength to hate the poor. I mean, it's not that hard to hate the poor. Just go to any local, like, American urban situation, and you'll have, like, 5 meth heads asking you for money as they shit and piss themselves. Be like, hey, bro, I'm a veteran. It's like, holy shit, get the fuck away from me. How about I give you $5 if I know for a fact that you're not immediately gonna go to your dealer and use it to get high? Right? Once the poor is getting in your face, it's pretty easy to hate them. I have plenty of hate to go around. True. We all do. Homeless people are rad. How could you hate them? Homeless people are fine as long as they're not getting in my way. I don't want, like, anybody who's getting in my space, so... I cannot be bothered. I don't care if you're homeless, just don't do it in front of me. Or even if you have a home and you're rich, I don't want you to be doing it in front of me. Get out of my space, rich people and poor people. I just remembered that there was a perfect game for the 2000s aesthetic sexo that I should be using, or I was already subconsciously using as a reference. I didn't realize why I wanted to draw the belt a certain way. It was because of this. Remember this, guys? I was like, what am I drawing? I was like, oh, that's right, I'm drawing this. The peak Avril Lavigne 2000s. This was a video game, guys. Rumble Roses, baby. Yep. We reached a Oh, and she's Canadian too. They truly were going for the Avril Lavigne look. Rumble Roses was certainly a game. I just wish it controlled more like Here Comes the Pain. Wrestling games were always just memes. Because wrestling is a meme. You have to simulate the fact that there isn't any actual, like, real damage being done. People sort of get tired out in their, like, spirit bar or whatever, and then you can pin them. It's an art form. It's theater, not a sport. By the way, a lot of the Joshikose high school girls in my area go to a school that has these the tan Burberry striped plaid skirts that Candy Cane is wearing in this right here. That shit is fucking hot. I bet there's a bunch of girls who choose to go to that high school specifically because they get the sexier uniforms. I've heard that's a big thing among girls. It's like, yeah, I'm just going to go to that high school because I look hotter. When you contrast it with, like, the standard navy blue uniforms that some of the other girls are wearing, the difference in hotness is very noticeable. Burberry was peak 2000s. It definitely feels like it. The question is, how do I draw it in, like, a limited information? You don't want to, like, go all in and draw all the crosses and stuff. You just want to sort of insinuate that it's Burberry. I think this is good enough. Right now I'm trying to figure out the right amount of information to present, as in to not overdo the amount of information I show. For one thing, that is going to cost me time, but also you don't want to have too much information for the viewer. Like here, I'm drawing in the studs on the belt because I thought it was an important part of the character, but it might be a little too much detail, or maybe I just need to make the studs larger. Keep it simple, stupid. Yeah, there's different amounts of information that you want to present, whether when you are drawing a manga or when you're drawing an illustration. Because illustrations, you're supposed to continue to want to look at the image for long periods of time, whereas manga, you're supposed to want to immediately go to the next panel. Your eye isn't supposed to stop, so you actually don't want to have too much detail. There always has to be like empty spaces in manga that kind of guide your eye to the next panel. So manga and illustration are like fundamentally different, even if they're both about drawing. They're different types of imagery. What's Burberry? Look at this no-riz loser coming into Twitch chat and not knowing about luxury brands. I don't know if Burberry is a luxury brand. I think it's treated like a luxury brand in Japan. BaalBud. It's more of a designer brand. I don't know what the difference between is a designer brand and a luxury brand. That's femoid speak for me. But I'm sure there's plenty of men who are also like, no, Supreme isn't a luxury brand. It's a urban fashion brand. It's not luxury, which is why my Supreme t-shirt, my white Supreme t-shirt that says Supreme on it only costs $250, but it's a limited edition, so I was able to get it for a cheap $500 on eBay. It ain't no Hermes or Louis Vuitton. Price is a big part of it. Yeah. What's the most bourgeois brand you could be wearing, like if your entire body was built on one brand? If I was just walking around with $10,000 worth of Versace on, would people be like, look at that guy, he's just covered in Versace? Bougie? Yeah, I guess bourgeois instead of bourgeois. Bourgeoisie. Do people who say bougie even know that they're referring to the bourgeoisie social class and what the bourgeoisie social class is? I assume they don't. Doesn't Dolce & Gabbana have the big DG letters on it? Dolce & Gabbana bags. Yeah. So, if I want to really advertise to people that I'm wearing Dolce & Gabbana, I just get this stupid fucking bag that cost me $2,595 and says DG in giant fucking letters on it. So that even the most retarded, no fashion person can understand that I'm wearing Dolce & Gabbana and this cost me a lot of money. Or it's a Chinese knockoff and it cost me $10. This is definitely has the same energy as like Trump Tower. Oh, this is an affordable one. It's only 1,500 euros. Okay, it's the same price as the bag above it. Just green bag that says DG. My cat chewed on them. The ultimate end for any expensive item is just to be something that an animal just like chews on or pisses on or something. You spend $10 million on your Versace suit and then you have a lapdog that pees on it. It has something similar to the energy of the great conquerors statues being put up in the town square, and it's like a huge statue of a great military leader on a horse, and it's just covered in pigeon shit because the pigeons don't give a fuck. Rest in peace glasses. I don't know why you can't wear them just because your cat chewed on them. What's the problem? Just wear them. They'll just be a little gnarly. This is why I'm not a fashion model, because I see clothing as an item that is wearable until it is so full of holes people can see my cock and balls, and then I replace it. I replaced all my t-shirts before I went to Japan because I know Japanese society does not want you to be walking around with clothing with huge holes in it. But most of the t-shirts that I was still wearing in America at that point had holes in the armpits that were larger than the sleeve holes. So I would often mistakenly put my arm through the ripped, torn part of the t-shirt instead of the sleeves by mistake. That's how long I wear my clothing. How are the cheapest Gucci sandals $510? LOL. Because they're higher quality. The dumbest people are the people who argue that they need to own brand clothing because it's higher quality than just normal stuff and it'll last them longer. The people who aren't saying that I wear brand clothing because it makes me look rich, but instead the people who are saying like, no, this is a rational economic decision. This $5,000 bag has a good build quality, so I can justify my purchase. It's like, no, you can't, lady. Just stop. Sometimes the style and fit is better, but it's never worth the insane cost. It exists to show that you're rich. Which may be beneficial to some people depending on the social circles they're in. You gotta spend money to make money, baby. If you're a social climber, you just have to fake it till you make it. And the best way of faking it is owning expensive things. The people who are truly billionaires don't need to fake it, and in fact, they usually dress down, which is why you'll see all the stupid tech people wearing like super cheap ass clothing. In fact, when you truly get to like the giga rich status, you don't want people to see how rich you are because it's not really beneficial to you anymore. The best shit is made by small artisanal businesses. See, if you were rich back in the day, you wouldn't even be buying like Dolce & Gabbana. You'd be going to your tailor, and your tailor would make you your suit that's built around your body and will look way better than anything that's already exists. Like, that's the whole point of suit clothing, right? Is that it's meant to fit your form, and then you just get your local tailor to cut the Italian fabric for you. You're not supposed to go into the local brand store and make mass market produced goods for $1,500. In my Gibbons orc female art, where was it? She, musing, it seems a pity to spend $25 to have a gown made over when I can get a new one for 200. As she stares at the camera, you know, back when people had actual class and they had feathers in their hair or whatever. We need to go back, guys. Giga Rich don't spend $10,000 on sweaters. They hoard their money and assets. The Giga Rich have reached a point where instead of spending money, they're just playing a game to see how large the number can get. You don't lose money if you pull it from the taxpayer. It's what's gonna happen when the crypto boom fucking... Not crypto, I mean crypto as well. The cryptos have been trying to get the taxpayer to pay for their losses ever since Trump became president. And it probably isn't going to work, but the AI bros probably will be able to get the taxpayer to pay for their losses because AI has just become too ubiquitous. I know that markets are down. Bitcoin is very low. It peaked when Trump won because people were like, that's it. It's big time now. It's going to the moon. And then I guess they've realized that it doesn't do anything, which is always the core weakness of crypto, is that it doesn't actually have any function because you can't actually use it as money. Besides the fact that you can't use it as money, if you're gambling on whether it's going to appreciate or not, you really can't use it as money. Because it might be worth more in the future, right? So... anything that becomes a speculative market basically just exists for speculation. AI don't even need to exist, but these centers gotta be built or line will go down. Yeah. I mean, since what year would it be starting? We had, was crypto like the first one of these new age tech inventions that does nothing except use for like scams and gambling fuel and for line to go up? We went from like crypto boom. What year was that? NFT boom. Was Metaverse before the crypto boom, or like in between? Where would the Metaverse be? .com bubble maybe? Yeah, but that was too far ago. And also it turned into the internet of today, so it wasn't completely worthless. It actually generated money. But this is like worthless tech streak. We're on a fucking streak right now. The metaverse didn't really boom. Let's not use the term boom, because that would suggest that it was actually being successful. I'm just saying, like, shit that, you know, the tech bros were pushing. You can swag your Apple Watch even when it's broken. Nobody gets laid with VR headset on. I personally am a fan of the hentai stuff in which women are in like a full dive RPG VR headset and they're like fighting orcs in the magical world, and then ugly bastard Oji-san has snuck into their apartment and they're getting their vagina pounded, but they don't notice because they're fully in to the VR simulation. It's especially good if there's like some amount of feedback to in the real world, so they can't really, but it's weak enough that they don't really notice what's happening, and they're like, huh, why is my vagina getting wet in the virtual world? It's probably no big deal. Meanwhile, their body in the real world is being used by ugly Oji-san's big penis. Lots of sword art online doujins regarding this. Catatonic state virtual gamer girls. Meta never took off. It didn't take off with Second Life, and it was never going to take off if Zuckerberg tried doing it. I mean, Second Life took off way more than you would think it would take off, though. This was back when people still were much more optimistic in the concept of... People were actually like, oh, we can do anything in this virtual world. I have Second Life currency. This was like the early days of the internet when people were much more optimistic about what you could do in it. What was truly retarded about the Facebook metaverse push was that it was like Zuckerberg thought that he had just like thought of this new thing when we had different iterations of it for the last like 20 years, and everyone was, and those were better than the shit that Zuckerberg was making. That was the funny thing. Is that he thought, it was like he actually thought that he had thought of something new. And what was actually produced was actually like a weaker version of something that came out in like 2002 or something. I mean, they didn't even have fucking legs for all things. And then he thought that people were going to use it to like chat with people while they were working or something, that like people would want to wear a fucking headset so they could get the full body experience of chatting with Steve from marketing in the daily performance meeting. Like, who the fuck is gonna do that? Are you fucking retarded? Jesus Christ, Mark. And no one was there to be like, Mark, we already have that. It's called VR chat. And it does what you're trying to do way better. And people use it to primarily to talk to each other with their furry avatars. There is no business use for this shit. There is already a business use called Zoom. Your product offers nothing that's better than the current options, but you know, that's just tech bros in general nowadays. Pretend they invented something. They have invented nothing. Fake pregnancy skins for the avatars. Agoraphobic Gen Xers. When will Final Fantasy XIV add fake pregnant skins? It probably already has them. I need to roleplay. Ooh woo. He was trying to steal from the novel Snow Crash because he thought it was cool. People want their virtual worlds to be an escape from the mundane real-life normie sphere, so Metaverse being an incredibly sterile, digitized normie sphere made it a failure from the start? Yeah. I think you made Pink Girl too slutty. The more uptight they are, the harder they are corrupted. She was the good girl in her early years, so it makes sense that the leader of the slutty 2000s thoughts, Powerpuff Girl, would also be the most slutty. "2000 was really jeans time. Skirts and dresses were just gone." That's true. I think I only saw people, male and female, just wearing jeans. No other options. But we can't have all three of the girls wearing jeans. Skirts were there just for very special occasions, yes. Like when you're seducing Big Dick Oji-san. I mean, what year was the, what was it, Christina Aguilera Silent Hill incident? That was a skirt outfit. 99. Okay, it was right before the 2000s. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, you're not a true gamer. My Maria will always have her leopard miniskirt. Didn't they nerf it in the Silent Hill 2 remake? I can't remember. I think there were some complaints about it. I never really cared about Silent Hill. Also, I haven't actually played 2. Isn't she just like a manifestation of the main character being horny or something? Silent Hill is all in his mind, so if horny nurses appear, it's because he was horny in the hospital. If Christina Aguilera, cosplay lady, appears, it's because he was horny in general. Spoilers? Oh, come on, everybody fucking knows at this point. It was really obvious, to be honest. We've all seen Jacob's Ladder, or maybe not. You don't really need to watch Jacob's Ladder. Media where it's just like, it was all a dream, is pretty fucking stupid. I hate that shit. I'm trying to draw like a school emblem type thing, but it might be a little too much data. Maybe we don't need it. Again, trying to figure out the right balance between stuff that catches your eye and stuff that doesn't catch your eye. Maybe I just put just a pocket. I haven't seen Jacob's Ladder, but I feel like I understand it just from playing Silent Hill. Basically anything where it's like, nothing that you were doing was real. It was all a dream is stupid. It's stupid shit. A worse version of Jacob's Ladder is Tom Cruise in Vanilla Sky. Have you seen that movie? Jacob's Ladder is like, oh, what's going on? None of this makes sense. Oh, it's so awful. And then Tom Cruise in Vanilla Sky is the same thing, except it being awful. It's just Tom Cruise saying shit is awful, but really he's being forced to choose between, I think it was Cameron Diaz and Penelope Cruz, two of the most attractive females on the planet. Oh, Vanilla Sky was 2001. That's some real 2000s core as well. Rated R. The worst rated R movie you could watch if you're a teenager.
Most of us live our whole lives without any real adventure to call our own. What is any life if not the pursuit of a dream?
They're all waiting for you. Courtney Love called to see if you got her email, and the art department still needs a decision on the color of the letters for the bikini issue.
David, which one? Hey, honey,
No matter how you live.
When? Don't say soon. I hate it when you say soon.
soon. You slept with Julie Gianni again, didn't you?
Julie's a friend. Sometimes we sleep together.
You can do whatever you want with your life, but one day you'll know what love truly is.
He finds a different hot woman.
What do I owe this pleasure?
The pleasure of Sophia.
I would spend the rest of my life with that girl, man.
I am not going in there.
Oh yeah. Good night.
Interesting that the trailer, they're trying to sell it as a rom-com. Oh, from Jerry Wow, they really are trying to trick people
One kiss.
to go and watch the movie as a rom-com. Oh, no, they're stopping it.
You're following me.
I just felt bad at your party.
When did you stop caring, David?
Slow down, Julie.
When you sleep with someone, your body makes a
I was hoping it was an actual schizo movie. It is an actual schizo movie.
We've got a situation here.
What is this? I didn't do this. You've been charged with murder. There's no murder. I want Sophia.
He keeps on waking up, and like the bad version of his life is the one in which he has to have sex with Cameron Diaz instead of the one in which he gets to have sex with Penelope Cruz. And then the way they end the movie is him finding out that it was all in a simulation, and he was actually living 10,000 years in the future, and he was in a cryo sleep. I'm not joking, that's the actual ending of the movie. It's like The Edge of Tomorrow. Apologize to Edge of Tomorrow right now. Edge of Tomorrow is an actually good movie. Edge of Tomorrow doesn't say none of that ever happened. Woman driver. Men just want an incredibly attractive, sex-crazed female to get angry at them when they have other sex with other attractive female. Is that asking for too much? We just want a crazy bitch that's also incredibly hot and really, really likes us so much that she'll try and kill us. We're not asking for much, women. You just need to be like super incredibly attractive and then also insane. Doesn't sound like the worst Tom Cruise movie. There's a lot of bad Tom Cruise movies out there. He always has it one opportunity to run, though. Even in the trailer, they're like, look, Tom Cruise, he's running. He's doing the movie star running thing. Did you watch Lars and the Real Girl? No. The latter isn't hard to come by. When we say we want yandere, we don't actually want a crazy woman. We want a crazy woman that loves us so much that it drives her crazy. In real life, the crazy woman, they're just crazy. They usually love themselves so much it drives them crazy. Who do you pick, Cameron or Penelope? Probably Penelope Cruz. I think she's the most attractive Hollywood actress we've had in the last, like, 30 years or so. I can live with Cameron Diaz as well, but if I had a choice between the two. Crazy Woman, isn't that a bit redundant? Kappa? Good thing you put the Kappa in there. Or else we might have thought that you were making a misogynistic comment and I would have to ban you. We respect women in this chat. We don't make jokes like, ha, woman, right? Somebody please take my wife. LMAO. You either get the type that shows up outside your house without asking, blowing up your phone, or the one that kills your dog. This is why I don't have any pets or a girlfriend, but if I do get a crazy girlfriend, she can't kill my pet, she'll have to kill me. I think I want the one in which she blows up my phone, because then I can just ignore her, because I don't look at my phone in general. there'll be a bunch of messages saying like, I'm gonna commit suicide, and then I just don't answer because I know she's not gonna commit suicide. Problem solved. Of course, I'm the type of person that wouldn't give her attention in the first place, so she wouldn't actually attach herself to me. Those people don't go to people that ignore them in the first place, so... I'm very good at not forming relationships with people. That will work until she does the part where she shows up at your house. The best way is to just not pay attention to her. We have to think of Bubbles' clothing. I guess they are wearing bras. Like maybe a camisole. Ball is married to the grind. I mean, I can't deal with... Like, those people are attention whores to begin with. And then when you try and withdraw support from them, that's what drives them crazy. But I'm so self-centered that the moment that the woman would want me to pay attention to her or whatever, I would already be out. So we would never get to the relationship phase in which she becomes yandere. Buttercup's forehead is so large. It's actually standard anime skull shape. This is why they often have bangs. Anime girls often have bangs because if you actually expose the anime head shape, it's basically like this. Right. You have about this much real estate for the eyes. So this is like a pretty typical anime anatomy study. This amount of upper skull area to here. So it's like what? Almost 7'3", maybe. They probably have less jaw than this, so it really is kind of like 7'3". So, if you actually give them like a realistic hairline and put it like this, you have like just a truly massive forehead area. This is why you rarely see characters that have like their hair all back and their fully exposed forehead, because then if you draw them with the same, like, facial anatomy as the other characters. They just have, like, this gigantic forehead real estate. You know? So it's much more common that you have to get, like, some kind of bangs like that, and now it doesn't feel weird. 2000s thought Bubbles is just Baby Spice. I think you're right about that one. I should probably look up Baby Spice images. Spice Girls, Baby Spice. She's definitely a skirt wearer. I think she was almost always wearing skirts, even when the other girls were wearing pants. Yeah, she's always in a skirt. Should Bubbles be in a skirt, guys? I think that's the big question. Reference. Sporty Spice always has to be in these joggers. What is it? Ginger Spice always has to be in like tight shorts and stuff. Posh Spice always gets like the like tube dresses, and Baby Spice always gets like the fluffy shit. Her and Posh were the chronic skirt wearers, yeah. If you look at any of these photos, it's always her and Posh wearing the skirts, and then other people have like some combination of like jeans or shorts and stuff like that. Mini skirt? Okay. Because I had already started drawing her in a mini skirt, as you can see in this image. Thank God we have an actual lady in here, otherwise you would be so lost. Even if I didn't optimize the 2000s fashion of these characters, I don't think any of the people who consume my art are just aware enough of those things to be like, excuse me, Mr. Artist, I happen to be a specialist on the 2000s female fashion scene, and I'd like to tell you that your artwork is completely inaccurate. Mini skirt with fluffy trim, yeah. Fluffy trim definitely fits the character, although if you look at the images online of Baby Spice, she doesn't actually have that much fluffy stuff on. Here's a very, probably the closest to what we think it is. This is very Bubbles right here. Trim with a flower pattern. Also, she doesn't really expose her navel very much, I've noticed. The other two girls are already showing midriff. Do I need to give Bubbles midriff as well, I guess is the question. Expose love handles instead. I don't think any of the Powerpuff Girls would be fat enough to satisfy your guys' lust for fat girls. The architects in chat, I think, would be very much disappointed. Can you give her a really tight top like how Murata draws Fubuki? Ugh! Ah! Murata Fubuki dress is like physically impossible. That's not how fabric works. Skin tight clothing. Powerpuff. Who cares about reality? It looks hot. Does it though? I'm not a huge fan of Fubuki. I know people are like, what are you talking about? How could you say that? You sick fuck. Fubuki-chan is the cutest, but I'm just like, eh. Side slit, that is an option. See, now we're running into the free rend problem of when you draw people from below, what do you do with, like, the bottom part of the jaw? Fubuki and Tatsumaki are weak compared to some of his other designs. Even within One Punch Man, Fubuki is one of the less sexo characters. Within One Punch Man, there's already like 3 or 4 girls that are hotter than Fubuki, but she just gets top billing just because of the source material. Psychos. I'm, of course, heavily biased toward glasses, but Shit like this right here. When I say tan tomboy emoto, if you guys are not properly caught up with the current state of One Punch Man, what chapter was it? Can't remember where it was. This is just illustration. Earlier. Yeah, here it is. Sexo ass shot. Suiko-san wearing a thick sweatshirt, yet somehow her boobs are incredibly visible through it. Punches stuff, but make sure we get another ass shot. That's just, that's some grade A fine ass right there. And she also has emoto going on. That's just tan Street Fighter Sakura. Wrong. Oh my god. Standard non-artist take. Completely different. I just like to point out that this version of the tomboy hairstyle this amount of hair versus this length of hair is completely different levels of tomboyness, okay? This is just full in to the dyke zone, and it takes much more balls for the artist to draw this character. Tomboy A is just sporty, short haircut that you see in real life. Tomboy B is just a way fewer amount of hair. It's just like, you know, I don't know, 2 or 3 centimeters, just super short hair. You almost never see this in real life. You only see it in America. Yeah, looks like a terrible lesbian haircut. You only see it in America. And yet, if you're a Murata and you draw that, it is now suddenly attractive because the masculinity, it further accentuates the femininity of the body. Here we have other A-class female. Let's see. Oh, where was it? Notice this shot. Even the NPC girls I'm gonna have to make sure to include generous ass shots of just random woman who's working in the Hero Association. We make sure to get her ass right there. Look at that. Extremely good looking. The shortness of the hair actually makes her look more attractive as a female. It's like putting salt on watermelon. The saltiness accentuates the sugar in the flavor. Her bangs are longer than her tomboy B. Slightly, but not by much. In America, if you just have hair that short, then you're just asking to get lesbians to assume that you're going to be the butch female for them and be a provider. I learned pretty recently that basically there's a very low amount of butch supply in the lesbian pipeline. And there's a real issue in which the femme lesbian female not only expects the butch to behave like the male, like sexually or relationship wise, but often like financially too. And then this is like exhausting for the one who's being asked to be the butch one. And I'm just like, LMAO. I also heard that there was a shortage of men to top in gay relations and S's in S&M relations. So basically what we can see consistently is that nobody wants to do the work on their end. They always want to be the receiving end. If you're a lesbian, you want to be the female in the relationship and you don't have to like provide for yourself. If you're gay, you want to be the one who's getting your ass fucked instead of the one who's doing the fucking. If you're in an SM, you want to be the one who's getting whipped instead of the one who has to do the whipping. No one wants to have the active role in this shit. Everyone's just lazy. Top shortage for both gay and lesbians. People just don't want to do work. It reminds me of when I was playing Final Fantasy. There was always a shortage of tanks. Usually healers as well, but tanks was always the massive shortage. And as a tank, you're expected to do the pulling of the enemies. And if you're going through a dungeon, you have to memorize like, you know, the enemy positions and stuff so you can run efficiently. But it's not that difficult. So I would always play tank because the wait queues for any party were incredibly short. But people would rather wait for hours to play a DPS than just learn how to play a tank. It was always bizarre, but you see this like in every aspect of life. People just don't want to do work. Now, I don't want to do work in my like shitty dead-end job myself, but I don't find it to be particularly taxing to do work in something that's essentially just, you know, having fun. But a lot of people clearly don't feel that way. I don't know if people are aware of this or they're just doing it on a subconscious level. But it just extends everywhere. Now that I've played a cleric, I kind of low-key love it. And then, like, somehow you convince women to play the healers and be the heal slut. You have to tap into the female instinct to be a provider. I think the DPSs deep down think that they're like the main character or something, when in fact most shit can be just beaten with the tank and the healer. There's only a few things that have like actual DPS checks, so It is in fact the DPS that is unneeded. I chose to do it because I was sick of being DPS or an offensive spellcaster. You have to have a high tolerance for people being retarded if you want to play healer, because your job is basically to clean up the trash of when the DPS are standing in the wrong position or some shit, so... I could never play DPS because the queue times for doing literally anything is always just, 50 minutes or some shit like that. Whereas if you're just playing tank, it's always immediate. Of course, people don't even play MMORPGs at this point. They just go and roleplay inside the video game and make uwu faces, so I think it's kind of irrelevant. I need healing, uwu. No, you're only allowed to make the uwu face if you're the healer. You have to be like, uwu, I'm just a cute little catsy girl. I'll try and heal the party the best, teehee. I'm just a cute little cat boy. Please, Mr. Big Tank-san, don't punish my bussy too hard, teehee. And then people give you free items because they're like, "Uo, Kana-chan, you're so cute. Will you be my girlfriend?" And then you're like, "Uwu, but I'm a boy. I can't be your girlfriend." And they're like, "I don't care if you're a boy, Kana-chan, you're so cute, teehee." And it's just two fat neckbeards typing love to each other over the internet. Of course, this is a long tradition that from the prehistoric internet. One of the few traditions from the old internet that has not died out yet. I think I want to give Blossom painted fingernails. French tips or full paint? Bold for you to assume that I know the difference between French tips and full paint. I know literally nothing about painted fingernails or manicures or whatever. Women, if you think that you're impressing a man with whatever you're doing to your nails, you might be, but you're not impressing me. I have no idea. I'm not looking at your nails at all. Ugly ass crackle nails. I don't know what any of these things are. Although, maybe I do want them pointed a little bit. Look it up. I'm not going down the nail rabbit hole. I refuse to participate in female witchcraft. Crackle nails. Fine. What the fuck? That looks like something from the 80s or 90s, not 2000s, honestly. It reminds me of the energy we had in like 90s Nintendo Power magazine, where there would be like a kid, especially this color scheme right here, there would be like a kid on like a fucking skateboard, and he would be like wearing his baseball cap backwards, and he'd be drinking like Dr. Pepper or some shit, and Nintendo Power magazine would be like, this is the raddest, coolest video game of the year for the Super Nintendo system. It's that kind of color scheme right here. They give off Game Boy vibes. Yeah, the clear Game Boy vibes. My clear purple N64. We need to go back to things being cool and fun and see-through. We need multicolored Macintosh computers. My off-brand controller is clear purple, as is my phone case. It's a vibe. We also need to go back to controllers being awful and really hard to hold. I'm currently playing some video games using a 2,600 yen Logitech controller, and it reminds me of the video game experience of the late 90s, because it's just like, because it's 2,600 yen, it's extremely cheap and flimsy and light, and it just sort of gets the job done. But it's like, man, we didn't notice as a kid, but like back in the day, controllers were like light as fuck. They were just like a cheap plastic shell. I have a $200 DualSense PS5 controller, which I did not bring to Japan. And it's incredibly heavy and weighty. Do you get it hard off? The hard off ones were all questionable. So I bought this one new. It was only 2,600 yen, so I figured I could buy it new. The thing about controllers is, like, it's kind of hard to understand if it, like, which formats it supported. Like, people kept on saying that I could use my PS5 controller on my PC, but I guess it wasn't DirectX input or something, so I had a lot of difficulty with getting it to work with some specific video games. So I basically was just trying to get the default controller that was going to work in any sort of situation. So I bought that 2,600 yen one, which is like the equivalent of like 17 bucks, so it's working fine so far. You're using the Titan submersible tech? I'm literally using the Titan submersible tech. People keep on shitting on the Logitech controller, but that isn't the problem, guys. It doesn't matter what fucking controller they're using. People are using Xbox controllers to kill 10 million Russians in Ukraine right now. The problem was, they were like, we can make the submersible, instead of using whatever it was, titanium, we'll use, what, fiberglass? Or was it just like carbon? I think it was rolled carbon or something. And it was okay for a few tries, but then it wasn't okay. Are Sony controllers being used for war? Checkmate, Xbox won the console war. I think Xbox controllers will always like work with default with any PC, and then like Sony controllers, I think my PS4 controller was working pretty well, but then my PS5 controller wouldn't work. And I couldn't find any instructions on why it wouldn't work. All the instructions said you just need to press down the button and then like Bluetooth pair, and if that doesn't work you need to install the drivers, and I tried doing all that stuff and it still wouldn't work, so I got tired of figuring out that shit, and I bought, you know, a Logitech. I didn't bring my PS5 DualSense to Japan. The truth is, I didn't like the DualSense. I see a lot of people who say that nothing has improved on the PS5 compared to the PS4 except for the controller, but I like the PS4 controller better than the PS5 controller. There's really not much that I like about the PS5 besides like a slight improvement in graphics. Some games are too ambitious to run on the PS4, like Elden Ring, so that was a huge improvement when I went to PS5 version, but everything besides that was is kind of weak. The shape feels better to me, I don't know. The thing is, the controller wars, you can always use the thing where if someone complains that the controller is too big and unwieldy, then you can always accuse them of having small female hands, and then be like, what? You probably have a tiny dick as well, LMAO, and then it's like, ha, I won that argument, nerd. The DualShock 3 was horseshit, though. I hated that thing. If you were pointing both So the DualShock 3 was like the analog sticks were close enough that if you had your thumbs on both of the analog sticks and you were going this direction on one and this direction on one, you could actually like bump your fucking thumbs against each other like that. There's very few situations in which you were pointing inward with the right analog stick and also pointing inward with the left analog stick, but you could actually do that if you were fucking around. So they improved that with the PS4. The PS3 on a whole was a pretty shitty console, all in all. It was not a great video game console. It was more powerful than the Xbox 360, but you rarely saw it in any meaningful way because the vast majority of developers couldn't program for it. So unless you were Naughty Dog, it always meant you got worse graphics than the 360 version of the game, because the 360 was popular enough and easier to program for that there was always going to be a 360 version, and then the PS3 version would almost always be worse. The only situations in which it had good graphics was when you were getting the PS3 exclusive by developers who actually knew how to program for it. So Uncharted and like Metal Gear Solid 4 and stuff looked way better than like 360 games. But in every other situation, it was just like, you should probably just get it on 360. I made my mom get PS3 just so I could play God of War 3 and Mana. Was I disappointed? I wasn't really entertained by God of War 3, but I wasn't really entertained by God of War or God of War 2 either. I don't understand why God of War is so incredibly hyped up. I think it's a inferior action game to the other action games of its time, like Devil May Cry, basically in every aspect. The only game I ended up playing long-term on PS3 was Mortal Kombat 9. Yeah, I too played Mortal Kombat 9 in that I jacked off to women getting split in half. Haha, just kidding. I would never do that. Violence against women is awful. It's worse than DMC, the best game ever? Yeah, but I mean, I'm not even talking about the entire package. It's just like the general like action. I don't know, man. I feel like both the offensive and defensive options that Kratos have are just kind of boring. He has a role, and you do a bunch of combos, and he slams his chains into the ground, and then causes all the enemies to pop up in the air, and then you do an air combo. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but I just feel like it was overhyped a little. Don't know if it holds up at all, but as an 8-year-old, it was really fun. DMC and Ninja Gaiden, god of crap. I think DMC is better than Ninja Gaiden as well. But you know what? I think Neo is better than both DMC and Ninja Gaiden, and of course God of War. I think Neo is the best action game in which Tecmo was able to really take the lessons they had learned from Ninja Gaiden and then combine it with copying From Software and Demon Souls and stuff like that and create like a great combination of both difficult encounters that would be really punishing with combo potential, but you can also go full crazy if you have the proper build and you know what you're doing. Doesn't matter, Uncle Ben. Vagrant Story beats all of them. I still haven't played Vagrant Story. It's one of the Square, the like Peaks era Square games that somehow I missed. I missed out on playing Final Fantasy Tactics and Vagrant Story, two of some of the most highly regarded Square games from that era, and I haven't gotten to them. So I should probably do that. On the other hand, I need to draw, so... Also, I know Vagrant Story is short as hell, so... Final Fantasy Tactics is my favorite game of all time. All I know about Final Fantasy Tactics is that it features one of the original archetypes of the female knight. Agrias awakened a lot of young hentai authors into the potential of strong-willed female knights losing to the cock. Built for orc penis. New remaster of Tactics. How did people like the remaster? I'm more interested in the Dragon Quest VII remake, honestly. The Dragon Quest VII remake looks amazing in terms of, like, appearance. It's not just like a remaster. Why can't Square do things like Enix is doing? They're technically the same company, and yet I feel like modern Enix has just like way better talent, and they have a way better idea of what their fans want than Square does. It looks very good. I'm waiting for pre-order. Wait, is Dragon Quest VII not out in America? I thought that they were releasing everything at the same timing nowadays, but I guess not. Square and Enix merger was a mistake. I was a huge Square fan at the time, and I thought that Enix was going to drag them down because all they could do is make Dragon Quest. I didn't think the opposite would happen. Is it? Maybe it is out. I don't know. Dragon Quest VII. It looks like it's out. Yeah, I think it is out. It reduces the original's 100-plus hour runtime to roughly 40 to 75 hours by lowering grind requirements and introducing quality-of-life updates. Dragon Quest VII Original was legitimately a game that was too long. It was like the ultimate slow burn for people who like reading War and Peace and stuff like that. It's very notable because it has one of the earliest prototypes of the tsundere. Maribel, still infamous among Japanese fans as like one of the earliest tsundere out there. Very cute. Dragon Quest VII can't be worse than Trails. The original Dragon Quest VII was extremely slow in that it takes like a solid hour and a half before you even get to your first combat. So you have to be the type of person who enjoys like going to towns and talking to people and stuff like that. But that didn't mean that it was like an exploration non-combat game. It was also had a shit ton of grindy combat. It just operated at its own pace. I played the first like 10 hours of it on emulator, and then like I had some sort of Windows update on my computer that like fucked up my whole emulator setup, and now I couldn't figure out how to get it back, and I had lost my data and stuff. So obviously that's enough of a reason for me to quit playing a game that I wasn't like 100% enjoying. But yeah, that was very annoying. So I was thinking of playing the remake at some point. However, I do not have the consoles required to play it. If Xeno series is Star Wars, then Trails is Rebel Moon. It would be like if Rebel Moon had 16 games, though. This is the only reason I keep my Switch at this point. I don't know, man. I don't think I would ever use a handhold, even in my house. You definitely can't play... The whole thing about Switch being like a handhold game console is bullshit. You can't fucking play your Switch outside of your house. It looks too stupid. It's not like the 90s when you were a kid and you could just like play your Pokemon Game Boy on the bus and stuff like that, and it was totally fine. If you're a fucking grown adult playing your Switch on the train, it's just like basically holding a sign up that say, "I'm a fucking loser, punch me in the balls." We already have our portable game consoles. It's a fucking cell phone. We have shit to do in the real world with our endless amount of, you know, cell phone attention deficit disorder machines. It's 9 out of 10 docked. I know, right? The only situation in which I wouldn't play it docked would be if I want to lie on my back while I'm playing it. But the graphics are already pretty shitty, so I don't want to push the envelope in making the graphics even shittier than they already are. When I play in bed, right? Maybe I would have bought a Switch if I was going to be forced to go to the hospital and get my hemorrhoids removed. They were saying, like, in the initial doctor's appointment, the female doctor I met at first was like, you're going to have to go to the hospital and they'll ask you to stay several days. And I was like, damn, I'm going to be bored as fuck if I have to do that. But the current doctor seems to think that I don't need to get it surgically removed, so I guess I don't need to have a Switch. Although I guess I have a laptop, so it doesn't really make any difference. If you have a laptop, you really don't need a Switch if you're just going to be lying your ass in bed. What we really all need is to have the fucking monitor suspended over our head. This setup, right? So we can just be completely prone, maximum comfy. Very few people have been able to achieve this setup, but it's worth striving for. Just to have some sort of industrial grade mechanical arm that can suspend your monitor directly above your face while you're completely horizontal. What is the point of wearing a belt over a skirt like this? Sex reasons. Like everything else, it's built to get the ugly bastard Oji-san worked up and horny. Stupid, bratty, skirt-wearing Gyaru needs dick correction. That's why. I feel like Bubbles would have super thick eyeshadow as well. I think they all need thick eyeshadow. I made sure to give Blossom a lot of eyeshadow. Not eyeshadow, mascara. I guess eyeshadow as well, but... Let's look at Baby Spice to see how much makeup she has. Blossom being Baby Spice seems about right, so... Yeah, she has a ton. Just a lot of black stuff on the top side of the eyeball. A lot of mascara. I would hate to be a female and be asked to have like all this goop around my eyeball. I don't wear contacts. I don't wear makeup, but like I don't like having to like touch my eye or even have stuff in the general vicinity of my eye. It freaks me out and it's no fun if any of it gets inside there. I don't mess around with my eyeball. You get used to it. I don't want anything touching my fucking eyeball, man. For some reason, my eyesight is still the same as it was in high school, so... Despite looking at a screen all day. I haven't been forced to do anything with contacts and shit, but I definitely just wear glasses. Maybe losing I like Solidus. I'm not fighting the United States of America, so I don't have to do anything like that. I'm not a patriot or fighting the Patriots. Wait, was Solidus the... What was he doing? I can't even remember. He just showed up for like 5 seconds at the end of MGS2. And then you just fight him and that's it. Why was Solidus and Raiden fighting in the first place? Weren't they, like, essentially on the same team in what they wanted to accomplish? Does Raiden even know what the fuck he's doing? Here we enter another episode of, like, Kojima has too many fucking twists in all of his games, so you never actually remember what he wanted to do. Bubbles would wear that sparkly body powder or roll-on glitter they used to sell back in the 2000s, 100%. Bubbles would be wearing a shit ton of glitter. She'd think it would be the cutest shit. It had blueberry scented one. He was trying to stop the censorship of information, I think. Kojima predicted the Epstein files. Bravo, Kojima, you've done it again. What the fuck is going on with the Epstein files? Why are they interviewing Hillary Clinton, of all people? Is this just the Republican Party desperately trying to make the Epstein files into the QAnon adrenochrome? The Democrats control everything, and Trump is trying to stop the cabal of pedophile immortal lizard people, that version, instead of it just being like there were a lot of rich guys who wanted to have sex with teenagers, and one of them was definitely Trump narrative. Because Hillary Clinton is deeply involved in literally every single conspiracy that the Republicans like pushing, so it would make sense that they'd want to interview her. Some of them, yes. Thing is, he's also in the file, so their story is stupid as fuck. It seems like everybody's in the files. Except me. Nobody ever calls me to the party. Always forgotten. Stephen Hawking is the files. Was Epstein just really good at making him seem like he was important? I mean, I know everybody wants to have sex with 15-year-olds, I guess, so it's easier for him to leverage that, but it seems like everyone was like, oh man, this guy, he's so great. But not just like he was great, but like I think a lot of people, it seemed like they thought that he could open doors for them besides, you know, providing them with underage girls. Not corrupt and evil enough for this club. You're leaving out the most important word in that. Not rich enough. He would approach people and offer grants and shit. See, that's the thing, right? Is, I'm so antisocial, I would never be in a situation in which people could approach me and talk to me. I hate parties. I don't want to create interpersonal relationships with people. Also, I don't answer my emails. Some of these people have like 80,000 email correspondence with like Epstein. They're just talking to him all day. I don't have time for that shit. I don't understand why people are surprised that the files, all this was called out over a decade ago. People aren't really seeing the files as like actual information. They're seeing it more as confirmation of the fact that they were right to hate the people they already don't like. So, I mean, the other day I opened Twitter and there was a some rightist Twitter poster had found a New York Times opinion piece from like 2014 or something that said pedophilia is a mental disorder, not a crime. And everybody in the Twitter comments were like rah-rahing about it, like, see, the liberals, they truly want to say that they want to gaslight you, that pedophiles aren't criminals, blah, blah, blah. And like, if you go to any of these people's profiles, you'd have like all the content of the Epstein files, but then they'd also be like, Trump is my guy. And they were just conveniently gaslighting themselves into ignoring the fact that Trump is mentioned in the Epstein files like 50,000 times, right? Pedophile has just become people who were going to Epstein to get underage prostitutes were not pedophiles. Pedophilia is a very specific disorder, a mental disorder, just as the New York Times was saying in that opinion, I'm sure, but no one was actually reading that, of course. It involves in being sexually attracted to kids who have not reached puberty, which was not what the Epstein was providing. The youngest he was going was like 12 or 10 or something, right? If you were an actual pedophile, you'd have to be attracted to like below 10. It would have to be like 8 or younger. It's actually hebephilia. I mean, I don't want to be the it's actually guy, but it is it's actually thing. Ten would fall under that, sort of. There's some girls who are already hitting puberty at 10. A true pedophile would be like younger than 10 probably. I mean, they all have like their very specific ranges apparently. It's just become the literally Hitler of the internet. Is if there's anybody that you don't like, you claim that you used to claim that they were a Nazi Hitler, but now that the right-wing chuds have decided that Hitler was perfectly right or some shit, Now we have to move on to something that literally nobody likes, which is pedophiles. Ten is definitely prepubescent. I mean, I think it would be almost always prepubescent, but I don't think Epstein was actually providing 10-year-olds. I just said 10-year-olds, but wasn't the youngest that he was providing were like 12-year-old girls or something like that? Most of them were between 12 and early 20s. Yeah. French triplets were 12. Christ. See, I'm not actually reading all of that shit. They were sent to him for his birthday. How the fuck did he have access to these people? I thought he did. Didn't he not have that much money? Like, wasn't he like a huge failed investor? It really shows like how much of human society is based around social connections. Like, the connected people are truly connected. We really are tribal animals. He stole money from one of the firms he worked at. How to be successful. Steal money from your job. Provide underage girls to the rich and powerful. Have a huge blackmail list of your correspondence with them. And when you get caught, get off by an assassin. Or kill yourself before you get off by an assassin. Also find a partner in crime who is an attractive female, who is totally okay with you being a professional pimp for the rich and powerful. Say what you will about Ghislaine Maxwell, but she did a good job riding and dying with her boy. I hope we can all find our own Ghislaine Maxwell to our own Epstein. Somebody who is so understanding of our golden life that they're like, sure, I will also participate in trafficking of underage girls for Bill Clinton. Cute eyes with bubbles. I made her eyes big, so now that makes me think I need to make Buttercup's eyes a little bit bigger as well, actually. We could at least give Buttercup more mascara. Jeffrey lucked out with Ghislaine's daddy issues. Is that why she was supportive of him? They're all pretty iconic for having big eyes. They all have the same face, dude. The exact same face. They're color-coded. He reminded her of her father and was attracted to his intelligence and money. We all need our daddy issue girl that was willing to follow us, I guess. But, yeah. I would find that annoying. Test tube babies. They're made of sugar and spice and everything nice. That is one of the weirdest phrases in English. Girls are made of sugar and spice and everything nice. Boys are made out of, I can't remember the specifics, but it included puppy dog tails. Cut off puppy dog tails. What are little boys made of? Nursery rhyme dating from early 19th century. Snakes, tails, and puppy dog tails. It has fucking music. What are little boys made of? What are little boys made of? Snips, snails, and puppy dogs' tails. Is it being insinuating that people of that era were spending their time cutting off dogs' tails? Because that's kind of fucked up. It's just the standard boys are crude, girls are sweet stuff. But how will I get my girls to perform cockball torture on me if they're only made of sugar and spice? We need Buttercup to step on my balls. Draw the Rowdy Rough Boys. Were those a Powerpuff Girl character? I was thinking of drawing the monkey, because we're going to have a little bit of space. They were the evil male version. Powerpuff had a lot of evil versions of a lot of characters, I feel. Or maybe not evil versions, but just like they needed to have like the the villain of the week setup. So they just had like a lot of villains that didn't get to do much. I don't know. I feel like the Powerpuff Girls spent a lot of time solving their problems with violence, so it seems strange to consider them to be the sweet, non-violent version of this whole equation. Wow, he has his cap on backwards. This is such 90s, 2000s aesthetic. Feels good, man. They were originally going to be called the Whoop-Ass Girls. That's what the men want. Girls to whip their ass. Ah! Just the old girls are more in tune with dark arts trope. Always has been that way. When you have a helpful alchemical ingredient like disgusting period blood available to you once per month, the desire for women to dabble in witchcraft must be incredibly high. Just on a monthly basis, they just get all this extra alchemical ingredients that they can use to curse people with. So it's shocking that we don't have more witches. I guess men, you can say the same thing for men, because we produce cum, but it doesn't like just drip out of our body. We need to like actually cum to get the semen. Also, I think using semen in like your spells and stuff, I feel like it's more for like constructing homunculus and stuff like that. I feel like the period blood is more of an offensive weapon for like spiting people. Men use their semen alchemical ingredient for good, creating horrible godless abominations like test tube homunculi. Its ki and needs to be stored in body via abstinence for forces of good. Yeah, the Chinese version is like there's two different versions of the male magical powers. One is you can't come, the other is you can come, and then you use the come for stuff. Gotta let it build up inside you for maximum effectiveness. If you want to be like a monk or something. If you want to be a spellcaster, then you ejaculate the cum and then you use it to create like your golems or whatever. Jack Parson used it to become a cult leader who developed rocket fuel. To be fair, we can only produce so much of it, so it's probably not very helpful if you want to like mass produce a golem army or something. Dude got cucked by L. Ron Hubbard. God, this is like the dark history that I didn't know exist. What the fuck are you talking about? The L. Ron Hubbard rivalry rabbit hole that I didn't know existed. Bubbles looks scary, dude. Occult history is true, by the way. It's a good thing that magic doesn't actually fucking work, because people sure as fuck has tried really, really hard to make it work. Imagine if they had been using all their energy on something that was like a little bit more direct. Bubbles looks soulless. Her expression is so weird. I'm planning on adding color to the eyeballs, because that's like one of the few defining features of how to differentiate them. We could just add the color right now to see how it looks with the color. think that looks okay. But man, maybe I won't do it. I've been experimenting with adding just a tiny bit of color in some of my previous drawings as well, and I always end up deciding just not to do it. It feels like kind of like a cop-out. Another form is ability to draw 3 curves on a paper and instantly activate neurons. That's just because we've just been trained to see female forms in too many situations because we look at porn all day. This isn't even correct. It should be more like this. I mean, how much of this can I erase before it no longer registers as female form? This already registers as female form right here. This still registers. See, this line could be like a nose and eyes or something like this. I think this is like the maximum that you can have before it starts looking like a female body. I mean, this is still fine right here, right? This could be a male leg. It really is the silhouette of the waist. I think you're right about that one. As men, when we see something, some kind of angle like this, now the neurons begin to fire. I'm using straight lines to not... It's the combination of the hourglass shape combined with curvature, and the curvature activates the feeling that you're looking at the smooth, like, fatness. It's this kind of like vertical movement downward that activates the neurons. The way in which our eye kind of naturally glides downward along the curvature of the form. This is why banning porn is meaningless? Yeah, because you can see these things like in trees and stuff. This is why when you have hentai where like they truly go overboard on the boobs and stuff, and you get like boobs and ass, and you get like shaped like this, where they like they super overemphasize the roundness and the fat. Like, I don't find it attractive as much anymore because the flow kind of becomes like this kind of flow. I don't find that Waldorf Venus kind of flow as attractive looking as this kind of flow. This like very strong vertical flow. Once you get too round, you don't get the vertical line flow. This is why I often say that I've talked about this before, but this is why I often talk about how the competitive swimsuit is one of the most attractive ways to make the female body look good, because it's designed scientifically to allow for the hydrodynamics. So just by automatic, for its purpose, it needs to have this very strong vertical flow. And then like they even add those like racing stripes often, which will make the hourglass figure even more prominent. But the vertical flow of the competitive swimsuit ends up forcing the male eye being like a black object. It really causes you, and like you can often see like the navel, right? So like everything about this flow is just like it's all pointing downward, drags you downward toward the pubic area, strongly suggesting the need for sex. Especially the high cut ones, right? You have these lines. This line right here. That really causes, like, we're just naturally, if we have this kind of shape, we're just naturally gonna look downward. It creates movement. So when you have this kind of shape and then put it, the end point being her pubic area, you're just forcing men to be like, whoa, I'm supposed to naturally look at the sex. V-cut designs, yeah. It's just like basic idea. Lifeguard uncle, I have some bad news for you. None of the people I was lifeguarding at the local American pool look like that. They were all incredibly overweight and unattractive. It works on male designs too. The male body doesn't have this kind of like fluidity in the lines because the male stance often is wider. So I feel like because the legs are often open, but then you can kind of get the V shape just by the torso, because the men will have like extremely wide shoulders compared to the female. So when you're drawing male body, it's all about the straight lines. It's like it's more of like this kind of energy. Straight line, and then you get the cock. There we go. Here's a more accurate penis size. Notices bulge. Uwu. Where's the bulge? I don't see anything here. Just a standard man. I'm watching you. Yeah, if you talk about nudging the bulge, we're gonna time you out. We have to give, put in the slit. It's already a super short skirt, but maybe not. I don't know. I haven't decided whether I want to give her a slit or not yet. How does it feel to mock Japanese women with your massive pecs? I haven't approached people outside my room in many days now. Yesterday was a situation in which I was forced to go outside. It was awful. I'm wearing these very loose t-shirts, which I bought in a extra large size before I left for Japan on purpose because when it's going to be hot, I want to have loose t-shirts instead of t-shirts that are going to stick to my skin during the summer. But as a result, because I have these very round pecs and I have these loose t-shirts, my body kind of looks like this when seen from the side. Like, I'll have these round ass pecs and then the t-shirt, because I don't have it in my pants, it looks like this. Why not tank tops? Because I want to be cool. Not like fashion cool, but like heat cool. I want to have loose ass shirts so there's lots of air that can come in from the bottom. BB homie variant? Yeah. And they're pretty long as well, so please don't tell me you don't wear cargo shorts. I will be wearing cargo shorts. Of course I'm gonna wear cargo shorts. It's fucking hot, dude. I brought one of my Hawaiian shirts to Japan specifically because the Hawaiian shirt is the coolest form of shirt that you can wear. Specifically for that reason. It's all billowy and it's very light, and you can always get air circulation in. T-shirts, if they're too tight, they trap the air inside and they become very warm very quickly. You want to have just constant air circulation to make sure that you're as cool as possible. You don't understand how fucking insanely hot it is in Japan. It's just unbearable. I'm planning on moving before that, but I ain't fucking with any 40-degree summers in Tokyo, that's for sure. I can't handle that shit. But my fashion, I don't have time for fashion, dudes. We can't deal with that shit. Is it hotter than where you used to live? Some say that Japan is the hottest country on the planet, not necessarily in terms of the actual numbers, but in like how uncomfortable it is to be there. Tokyo's summers. I'm not even going to be in Tokyo, but it will be like 40 degrees Celsius with like 85% humidity somehow. There's not a lot of places where it can maintain both like insane heat number, like in terms of temperature number, but also like extremely high humidity at the same time. And then also not get any cooler at night. Because like usually a lot of hot places are in the desert where the temperature drops in the middle of the night pretty precipitously. But Japan somehow is like, especially Tokyo, because it's like it has the heat island thing going on, but it's both like incredibly hot, incredibly humid, and then also if you're in Tokyo, the urban environment makes it so it doesn't go down at all. And you finally decide where you're gonna live? No, I'm gonna go on like a fact-finding mission before I decide on anything. I'm probably not gonna move until I'm done with this hemorrhoid treatment. I went to the hemorrhoid doctor yesterday, and I basically was diagnosed with another month of the same hemorrhoid medicine. So we're gonna be here in Kansai at least until I'm done with that. But in the meantime, I can go on a fact-finding trip and try and figure out where I want to live. I haven't done anything that I have to do in terms of the moving process. I was thinking of like starting in March, but see, because the school year is in April and shit, a lot of people do their moving in March and April. So if I miss that window, it might actually be difficult for me to find property because people might have like taken up the new apartments and shit. I don't know. This was my mother's opinion, but she hasn't been living in Japan in a long time, so she doesn't know the situation as well. It might be cheaper if it's slightly off-season. I don't know. The thing is I can live like literally anywhere because I don't need to be close to like my job or anything, so I don't really have to worry too much. But I don't want to stay here in my aunt's apartment. It's already too personalized with my aunt's belongings, so it doesn't feel comfy enough. Most people don't get to choose where they want to live, right? So I think I should check this out. This means you're going to be here during this next summer, Hell on Earth summer. Well, honestly, it was already getting into the 60s in February, so we're kind of already there. I'm surprised the family didn't donate the clothes. I mean, my mother was here last year and she picked up a bunch of my aunt's clothes to wear, but there's still a bunch of stuff. I mean, people accumulate a lot of shit in their lives, and throwing stuff away feels bad. my cousin, who is my aunt's daughter, is in particularly quite a pickle right now because her brother, my aunt's other child, recently became like quadriplegic, paraplegic level, paralyzed because of some like really bad staph infection that fucked up his spine. And then her mother died, and now she has to decide what to do with the apartment. And then a few months later, her husband died from a sudden heart attack. So she has to deal with like the legal implications of like 3 different things. So I don't think she's in any like current shape to be able to deal with this apartment. And she wasn't married to her husband like in an official manner. So she has all this like legal problems with his ex-wife and his kids that he had with them, and they have to figure that shit out. And she just is incredibly swamped with stuff right now. Does she mind you like in a family sense? I mean, I'm someone to live in the apartment and pay rent, so I think I'm helping her in that regard because I'm at least taking care of the property. She still has to pay like all these maintenance costs for their apartment, if even if no one's living in it, because it's part of this this large high rise. How often do I clean? Not very often, but often enough, I guess. I need to clean the bathroom sink. Maybe once a week, I guess. We haven't got into the rainy season in which it really becomes like shit is humid. Then you have to like clean almost the bath and stuff almost every day. But it's still winter, so there isn't that much mold accumulation. Stop pissing in the sink. If anything, the piss should make the sink be better. No, I'm not pissing in the sink anymore. Anymore? Yeah, I was pissing in the sink when I was back in my mother's house. Now we don't do that. Now that we are living in a pristine condo that I want to keep in best condition. No more sink pissing, the Westoid has fallen. Yes. The greatest of our Western cultural practices. guns, trucks, and pissing in the sink. Huh. Ah! Ah! Oh! Alright, guys. I'm going to end the stream here. See you around, guys. I missed a day of streaming because I had a doctor's appointment, but we're going back to the normal streaming schedule of every other day. See you around.